Story 1. I'm a Bangladeshi and participated today in the protest. Write to your government. Tell them the tales you've seen so far. Make them lodge formal protest against our government, specifically the ruling party. This government takes a lot of pride in getting international recognition. Our roads are full of banners of our Prime Minister receiving this or that award from foreigners. Now try and give her what she really deserves. Story 2. If you happen to know a way to get a hold of someone at Facebook, read this. Otherwise, as a user named Thrill of Speed said, donate to groups that support reform. Amnesty International, for example. Edit. As users named Heracles and Pemflex pointed out, go over to the Bangladesh forum and there's a thread that reads, how can I help? Story 3. Not to be a Debbie Downer, but not much really. As a Venezuelan that went through the 2014 protests that left some dead and the 2017 protests that left more than 100 dead, the international community will be outraged. It will be plastered here every day for a while, it will be around the news, and some politicians will use it as political ammunition. Marco Rubio really comes to mind here. Then eventually it will stop. Some countries will talk against the government, and some will say, we need to find a peaceful solution, etc., while at the same time not really doing anything. Eventually, it will be forgotten and a new Trump meme or another country will be on the front page. Story 4. It would require a huge amount of pressure placed on our own politicians to punish the Bangladeshi government via sanctions and public statements, and corporations to pull out of the country, both unlikely and would hurt regular people first before hitting the government. Honestly, there is very little you can do outside of giving money directly to political factions within Bangladesh itself and hope they sort out internally, and hope the system there is not so corrupt that they cannot simply shut them out of power. Government-sanctioned thuggery tends to be an indicator that is the case, sadly. Story 5. Spread awareness and get the people in power in international countries to know that their citizens are concerned for the teenagers in Bangladesh. United voices are unanimously heard. Story 6. Write your representative and ask them to discuss it in Parliament. I'm not so naive to be unaware of how bad typically governments are at this thing, but it's an AskReddit thread, Jesus. Story 7. I remember everyone being excited about large social media platforms such as Twitter and Facebook because news would quickly spread. Many claimed that a benefit of these platforms would be that violence from governments would be much easier to document and send to the rest of the world. What happened to this? Why are we reading about Facebook blocking content and being at the mercy of small governments? Or is it that the communication infrastructure is being tampered with by governments? Regardless, none of our fellow Earthmates deserve to go through this, and justice should be brought upon those who incite, twist words, lie, and promote violence. Story 8. The same thing they did for teenagers in Mexico, Venezuela, Nigeria, Ukraine, Egypt, Nicaragua, and so on. You catch my drift. Story 9. To not use these awful human rights violations as a geopolitical pawn would result in a far worse situation for the Bangladeshi people. Reference: Korea, Cambodia, Vietnam, Iraq, Libya, Syria. Story 10. As someone who originates from Bangladesh, I don't think there is anything anyone outside of Bangladesh or even in Bangladesh can do. The only hope is either we get the United Nations to do something or hope some students have connections to ministers because the ministers and the Prime Minister pretty much can do whatever they want and have all the power. Story 11. There's nothing you can do, but this experience will likely leave most Bangladeshis disillusioned with their government. The people are the majority here, and they have more power than they realize. If the government continues to oppress their people and is aware of their lack of faith in them, they should realize that they are practically a fascist state. The United Nations won't be too happy about that. Story 12, Bangladeshi here. Do not send money. I repeat, do not send money. We don't need money. It can ruin the purpose of the protest and furthermore can alter the route. What we need is international pressure on our government. Our media is sabotaged by the government, so look for "We Want Justice" hashtags on social media. Do rallies or some social activities to catch attention from your government. Then our government will feel the pressure and will do what we want. Story 13, Sanctions. India and the West could impose some targeted sanctions on the Bangladeshi elite. They own property and investments all over the world and will regret being cut off from them. China will not participate, although it would be nice if they did. Story 14. For anyone saying or thinking about using our United States government to interfere, you should be aware of the worst-case scenario. If you ask the government to solve the problem and we end up using military action, you cannot turn around and cry about too much war and military spending. You should always understand the results of your actions. Story 15. Support Wikimedia Bangladesh, the regional community organization that develops Wikipedia articles in the Bangla language and shares local photographs and videos. Unfortunately, sending international money to non-profit organizations is not possible because the government restricts this, but you can join their social media channels or email list if you like. This is an organization with 0 paid staff, so expect a humble reception. Wiki organizations generally have no money. Note that this is a small community volunteer-based organization. They are not an international aid organization. It is just ordinary people who meet sometimes and talk about editing Wikipedia. Political wiki editing is actually a danger for everyday people anywhere in the world. However, any sort of wiki editing, whether about politics and protest or about non-controversial topics of regional interest, helps to build a strong media and journalism base. If you support the wiki, then you support citizen participation in all kinds of journalism and media. See relevant wiki articles for this event. As always, the wiki is the summary of the existing journalism. All pictures have free copyright licenses, as does the text. Join in to edit the wiki. 2018 Bangladesh Road Safety Protests.
2018 Bangladesh Quota Reform Protests.
Story 16. Nothing. Because the same people who say the international community does not do enough are the same folks who complain when outside communities interfere. Story 17. Nothing. Everyone should focus on bettering the community they live in, and hopefully the goodness you are putting out there will grow around the planet in the future. Everyone tries to save the planet in some fantastical way when they sit around and do nothing in their own community. Story 18. Americans cannot and should not do a single thing. Bangladesh is a country directly at the intersection of international exploitation of Muslims, international exploitation of Southeast Asia, governance by corrupt military and family-oriented parties as in Pakistan, Asian diaspora and dependence on remittances, an enormous refugee crisis, general third world post-colonial organized crime, and extreme vulnerability to climate change. The fact that they have done as well as they have with some of the best economic growth and health outcomes in South Asia is basically only a testament to the incredible strength of Bangladeshi people in general. The last thing they need is American concern trolling along the lines of Venezuela, Russia, Iraq, and similar. Start by reading a book about the country, meeting Bangladeshis, or even just reading the Wikipedia entry for the country. I cannot speak to what Europeans or others might be able to do, but as an American with Bangladeshi friends and family, I think the less Donald Trump thinks about Shanar Bangla, the better. Story 19. To everyone talking about sanctions, the United Nations, and others involved, I strongly disagree. We do not need more entities involved with their incentives, making things even more confusing. This is a local problem, and we need to settle it locally. It will get ugly, and there is no instant fix. Please know and understand that. The main outcome is that everyone gets more involved in politics instead of being complacent about Alabama. We want to bring about reform to our corrupt systems, but more immediately, we want to reform the fascist state and ensure this does not happen again. Let's not be emotional and panic. Let's not cry out for help to people who do not understand nor care. Here's how I want help. Can we have a panel where we discuss the situation, trying to give you guys context, and you can give us advice on how we can organize? Do we already have something like this? Story 20. I wish Zuckerberg actually had the courage to step up and help humanity. He is in a position to help better the lives of billions, along with the other social media and media giants. Instead, they choose to focus on revenue and shareholders' fears. He knows exactly what he is doing, and he couldn't care less. He is a parasite. Story 21. Visit and inform yourself of the atrocities going on, and spread the word to everyone you can, and just that will be extremely helpful for us. Story 22. I assume by international community you mean nations, not specifically people. The answer is nothing. Bangladesh is considered a middle power with a growing economy. Trade sanctions may do little to disrupt the government, and no one is going to send military forces to help these kids. Bangladesh has a decent-sized military. The United Nations will also do nothing because Bangladesh provides over 100,000 personnel to United Nations peacekeeping missions. This is sadly a situation where they ultimately are going to have to solve the problem on their own. Story 23. There's really nothing that can be done. The world knows this is happening and still nothing is being done. It's really too bad that these people have literally no means to fight back. Story 24. Spread awareness. Please. I don't know where my cousin is. He's only 12. He was trying to spread awareness. As for how, you can message your local news, tell people on social media, and tell your friends. Story 25. Do nothing. Redditors from the West do not know much about the situation and who is right or wrong. There is too much propaganda here. It's a fight between hardcore Islamists supported by the jailed former Prime Minister Khalida Zia, her runaway son, and the current Prime Minister Sheikh Hasina. The Islamist student body, supported by former Prime Minister Khalida Zia, is creating havoc, and the government is trying to control the situation. 2 students died in a bus race that had nothing to do with the government. The government can make regulations, which are certainly lacking, but abiding by them is on the drivers. Both drivers were arrested. The roads are bad because former Prime Minister Khalida Zia and her son siphoned off trillions of taka. During her 5-year tenure in 2001 to 2006, Bangladesh was ranked number 1 in the world in corruption for 5 straight years. The agitation became violent as soon as Bangladesh Jatiotabadi Chhatradal, the student wing of Khalida Zia's Bangladesh Nationalist Party, joined. Jatiotabadi Chhatradal has a history of violence and murder, not only among its faction but is generally a radical Islam supporter, and supported the many killings of secular bloggers and vloggers in Bangladesh. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party itself is a rabid anti-secular party and very religious. Khalida follows the footsteps of her dictator husband. Don't forget Jamaati Islami, a nefarious hardcore Islamic political party that does not believe in secularism. Its student wing is known for bomb attacks and machete killings. It also committed war crimes during Bangladesh's independence fight of 1971. Its leader once boasted of killing 1,000 Biharis by himself in a single day. Its student wing, Bangladesh Islami Chhatra Shirbur, supports Sharia and only madrasa education. In February 2014, a US-based defense think tank, IHS Janes, published a report titled IHS Jane's 2013 Global Terrorism and Insurgency Attack Index, where Bangladesh Islami Chhatra Shirbur ranked 3rd in a list of most active non-state armed groups in 2013. Every minister has urged students to either go back to classes or stay at home. Do accidents not happen in any other part of the world? Bangladesh has a good judicial system. Grievances could have been directed there. It's not like Bangladesh is a rich country with a surplus budget. This agitation is nothing more than a ploy by the opposition to sway the democratic elections which are to be held later this year. It's politics on dead bodies. The Bangladesh Nationalist Party and Jamaat both supported terrorism and militancy in India, supporting the United Liberation Front of Assam, National Socialist Council of Nagaland, Isaac Muiva, People's Liberation Army, and other Manipuri outfits found a safe haven in Bangladesh, not only morally but by financing and providing them living quarters after attacks on India. According to the Saudi authorities, Khalida Zia and her sons had an investment of around $12 billion in malls and other infrastructural projects in Saudi Arabia with money amassed through bribery and extortion. As investigations are underway, more facts have surfaced about huge investments by the Bangladesh Nationalist Party chief's late son, Arafat alias Coco, who died in January 2015. Coco allegedly made enormous investments in Saudi Arabia, all from ill-gotten wealth. He was also wanted in Bangladesh for multiple charges of corruption. Similarly, his brother Tariq Rahman, now in hiding in England, invested several $million in many foreign destinations with a large sum in Saudi Arabia and other West Asian countries. Earlier, there were allegations, many supported by evidence, that Tariq had nefarious dealings, including money laundering and large investments, with the underworld dons, detrimental to Indian security interests. Story 26. Okay, so the international community, including people around the world, the United Nations, non-profits, and corporations can take action. The United Nations can send special investigators to write a scathing report. They can also send peacekeepers, but this must be voted on first. Other countries can issue strong statements denouncing the situation and questioning the legitimacy of the government. They can also impose sanctions or threaten to relocate manufacturing industry hubs to neighboring countries. This economic havoc affects not only the affluent but also their families and neighbors. Concerned global citizens can urge their officials to take action. Send letters with vivid images and use colorful yet polite language, followed by a call. Donate to international non-governmental organizations that support human rights and defenders. The Economic, Social, and Cultural Rights Network is one such organization, but conduct research before donating, of course. In the coming months and years, the international community needs to return and spread its principles in Bangladesh. Overall, it needs to help establish law and order in this country. Providing and improving public goods is one way to achieve this, such as actually fixing roads and creating safe infrastructure, while some sort of Department of Motor Vehicle Service improves driver knowledge. More support of cultural norms that endorse law and order and justice is needed compared to vigilante groups driven by mob mentality. We can invade and take over. Source: I took some classes once.